Good morning, Malcolm.
Good morning.
Wow. It is hard to keep up. So the special counsel interviews, investigators could start interviewing current and former White House staff as soon as later this week. Obviously, right, including Priebus, Spicer. Ooh, Spicer has lawyered up quite substantially.
Really?
It looks like. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hope Hicks, Don McGahn. Where do you think we are in the wood chipper of justice presently? Asking for a few friends here and in North
Stacking,
Korea.
stacking the cordwood. To be quite honestly, I mean, this, this is not going to be pretty. And what's going to be even less pretty is next week when information from each of these legal teams starts dripping out about the other individuals trying to implicate them.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was, everybody thinks yesterday's interview with Roger Stone was a nothing burger, but that was the House Intelligence Committee where only the Democrats are really going after this. The Republicans are trying to provide cover to the president. But,
Yeah.
this is the Senate Intelligence Committee, and to the Mueller investigation, they're taking this very seriously. So, like I said, when you start getting the president's chief of staff, his press secretary, his national security staff, all being interviewed about what role they took in drafting up what was clearly a lie about covering up a meeting with Russian agents or Russian representatives of the Kremlin in the run-up to this election, they're all going to start turning on each other very soon. And it's going to be public because it's the only way that they're going to be able to cut deals with the special prosecutor.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Malcolm, as we've mentioned many times about you, you've been a lifelong Republican, but like many Republicans, at least the ones out of power, that are being patriots right now. I mean, you said something that I think is quite serious. That this whole party appears to me to be complicit, or at least, like you say, trying to cover for the president. And it's, I mean, I don't know if you saw Senator Richard Burr, the Republican. He pushed back on suggestions that ad purchased on Facebook by Russian actors showed collusion between the campaign and Moscow. And he tried to do this both sides do it thing. He said, I think there was an effort to bring some chaos to groups on the right and the left.
Right.
That is complete BS, right, Malcolm? I mean, obviously,
Sure.
this whole campaign was to hurt Hillary Clinton and elect Donald Trump. And what he's referring to, by the way, is Russian operatives placed ads talking about Hillary Clinton's support among Muslim women and promoting groups like Black Lives Matter. That was to play to Trump's racist base. That was not supporting those groups, right?
Right, you're absolutely right. But let me tell you, I'm going to make another prediction here, and I've been pretty darn good in my predictions on
Yes,
the show.
sir.
Only because certain things must play out the way they will. I think the Republican strategy is going to be what you're seeing right now is they're starting to embrace the first finding in the CIA report, which was that Russia was doing this to instill chaos throughout the system and to show that, to increase a lack of respect and reliability into the democratic process. They're going to start embracing that wholeheartedly as Russia's objective because the information and the evidence is starting to come out now, and the prosecution is at a level where you can't deny something happened. But they're going to say, no, Moscow's just doing that because they wanted chaos. What you're going to see after that when you start getting into individuals and the indictments come, like Manafort and Flynn, you're going to start to see what I said earlier. You're going to see each and every one of these people turn on each other, and they are going to publicly state what they knew about these things, just shy of self-incrimination, through their lawyers to say, well, if it was an act of, let's call it rhetorical treason, then I wasn't part of it. And when we get to that point, you're going to just get that subscription to the New York Times and the Washington Post. You will just, watch Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid and Chris Matthews every night because this thing is just going to be an avalanche of incredible information. This last week was enough.
Yep.
These hurricanes got to stop. I need to get back on TV.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, as a Navy guy, you probably were unaware that Puerto Rico is an island which is in the ocean. Yes, you cannot drive a truck there, Malcolm. I'm not sure you were unaware.
Well, technically, Puerto Rico is an island in the Caribbean. He's right, but it is part of the United States. It is a territory of the United States. All of those people are American citizens.
Yeah.
These excuses. This is,
It's insane.
Donald Trump's Katrina. He just
Yep.
doesn't care. They vote over there, and he thinks they vote Democrats. And now you've seen two states, Texas and Florida, get the royal treatment in disaster relief.
Yeah.
And, the mayor of San Juan was saying just yesterday, the FEMA workers there want to help, want to release resources. They have not been given orders to do so from Washington.
And they just denied Puerto Rico the request for a shipping waiver. I mean, it's, Malcolm, you're the first person I've heard make that point, which is really important, that he thinks they vote Democratic. I mean, it really is insane. It's like him, no, but I mean him tweeting about, the big winners in the Trump care bill are the 4 states that the senators he's trying to bribe. Yeah.
That's like a good spy. Go back to what he said the week before the hurricane. He was tweeting about Puerto Rico's debt load and how the Democratic governors, the Democratic Party was responsible for this debt in Puerto Rico. That's all he knew. Now, this is a guy who owes Puerto Rico $33 million in taxes for a golf course. I didn't listen to the show, so I don't know if you touched on it.
Oh, my God.
But, when we do analysis, we don't look at what's in the news today. We go back months and then we scrub forward to see if there's a trend. He's got this thing in his mind. I don't know. Maybe he thinks, that West Side Story is as far as Puerto Rico has ever advanced. But, sharks in the jet.
He said, a boy like that will kill your brother. That's what he said. Malcolm, it's interesting because our listeners are so smart because they listen to you when you're on the show and elsewhere. Fran in Upstate said, hey, Steph, how about Puerto Rico use Russian mob money to pay off their debts? Like you, Donnie, you traitorous vermin-wearing asswipe. But it's true. A guy, right? This is where this all comes from. He could only get money from Russia. If only it were that easy for Puerto Rico, right?
Deutsche Bank's relationship with the Trump organization is going to be fantastic reading.
Yeah.
The books about this have not even started.
That's why that nosy Maxine Waters wanted records from Deutsche Bank. You know how she is.
Yeah, what with going back and finding out those, what do you call them, facts? So, it's going to be fascinating to see how he pushes back. But he cannot kill this investigation. We can get rid of the investigator, but, there are now hundreds of people neck deep in this.
Yeah.
As the information starts going to the House and Senate intelligence committees and starts getting briefed to the Gang of Eight, that's where you're going to have the really good leaks.
Yep.
Not going to come from Mueller's staff. That guy, he's like the Sphinx. All he does is sit there. But, who he hires, who he talks to.
Yeah.
And now that, when he pushed back on Manafort and said, you're getting indicted, buddy. Well, it's not going to be indicted for one little thing. It's going to be for everything.
Oh, man. I mean, Malcolm, it's interesting, too, on your whole, your famous statement about the targets getting buggy. I mean, because of all this crap about the NFL, just this avalanche, somebody wrote, but buried beneath the war Trump launched against the NFL is his new claim about Russian involvement. Did you catch this part? He said, by the way, folks, just in case you're curious, no, Russia did not help me, okay? Russia, I call it the Russia hoax. I mean, it really is.
I mean,
yeah.
If I could just make one point, Steffi.
Yeah.
What is today, the 27th? On the 23rd, 1 year ago, I wrote that book, Plot to Hack America. Okay? He is going, and I swear, in another year, I'm going to have to write another book just about this.
Yeah.
This guy knows he's caught.
Yeah, Hillary's going to write another book after what happened and another thing. I won.
No, it should be, I told you.
I told you, bitches.
I didn't want to say that.
There you go.
That's exactly what's happening here. But what we're seeing is him trying this very Russian-like perception management operation, where now, right up there with global climate change, and this thing will become a non-historical entity for the 36% of people that believe him.
Yeah.
And that anything other than that, no matter whether Mueller does it or anybody else, he is literally using the Herman Goebbels, tell a lie 3 times
I know.
and it becomes
I,
the truth.
you've got yeah, you've got to hear this White House spokesperson last week said the Russia story was being driven by Democrats as a way of undermining Trump's historic victory, and she said no one has ever alleged that any foreign interference efforts, whether from Russia, Ukraine, or elsewhere, had any impact on vote tallies or changed the outcome in any way whatsoever. Well, that's absolutely not true. Plenty of people have alleged that, and it's fairly obvious, right?
Let me tell you, yeah, you're absolutely right. Steve Schmidt made a statement yesterday. I'm very proud of Steve Schmidt, and I know, he had something to do with Sarah Palin back in the day, but he has stood up as a true patriot here, and he made it clear on a national stage in the way that I couldn't, even though I've been shouting this for a year. This is a historic investigation. It is unprecedented in its scope. It's unprecedented in the accusations that are going to stem out of this. We may be going to like I said, a cross between Watergate and Benedict Arnold here.
Yep.
And it is not going to leave any of these people untouched. People will just abandon this administration if everything plays out.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Malcolm. And before we go, all of this, as usual, is in the specter of North Korea. We're in a ticking clock race. Mueller against whether he's going to start World War III to distract. You had a number of tweets. You said regarding Trump ignoring senior advisors, not to call him Rocket Man. You said we are in trouble. North Korea has to respond forcefully-ish to Trump's war words to save face. Many ways to provoke Trump short of war into war. If the smack talk continues, people will die. War risks will grow astronomically. Hashtag all options bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to underestimate how terrifying this is, that we have two madmen locked in a battle of ego and words, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, we're hoping that the more calm of the two, Kim Jong-un, will actually not escalate it. And I'm saying that seriously. I know this is all just my opinion, but, Kim Jong-un relies on regime survival. He wants to keep, hanging out with superstars and getting his luxury. He just has to maintain the balance of that. Trump is trying to call his bluff in a regime that for 64 years have globally trolled the world. There's no out-trolling Kim Jong-un. And you're right, we do have to hope that, the Mueller investigation doesn't push him over the cliff. And that's something that we really are going to have to take into consideration.
Yeah, and the latest report today, Malcolm, North Korean government officials have been quietly trying to arrange talks with Republican-linked analysts in Washington in an apparent attempt to make sense of President Trump and his confusing messages to Kim Jong-un's regime. Well, nobody can really, I guess we would have to be honest. We go, well, we don't know, he's a lunatic too, and we're not sure what he's going to do.
The problem with that is Trump is going to take that as a sign of victory. But North Korea is much better at this game. They are going to start running these fighter scramble intercept missions out of Eastern Korea, which within 24 hours of my saying that, they had moved those aircraft into position to start going out and challenging our strategic reconnaissance aircraft like the RC-135, the EP-3Es, and these B-1 bombers. This could lead to an aerial battle, which would work in North Korea's favor.
One of the things I was going to say quickly, one of the things that they keep saying is they're asking why do his top officials like Mattis or whoever contradict him so often. That's why obviously they can't figure out what to do, right? Because you don't know whether anyone's going to be able to control him.
North Korea knows to listen to Mattis and laugh at Trump. And that's exactly what's going on here. All of these moves are being done to incite Trump. But they know, so long as millions of tons of ammunition aren't moving on trains in North Korea, and submarines aren't deploying, and their commandos aren't leaving their bases, they know Mattis is keeping a lid on this. But this is going to bring the United States to the point where China will force us to sit down and talk with North Korea as a nuclear state, and they're well aware of that. Can I make?
Yeah, China is like a parent at Chuck E. Cheese right now in the middle of two warring children. Just stop it! Stop throwing! Don't you throw those colored balls? No.
Can't have more French fries.
Go ahead, Malcolm.
One
Quickly.
last thing. I know all week I've been getting emails. What's a good source of information? I'm always debunking all these crazies. that are out there. But we finally have a really legitimate, good, viable source on the Trump-Russia investigation. Everyone should subscribe to its Twitter feed. Everyone should go to the website. I know you've had Rob Reiner on over there to talk about this, but the Committee to Investigate Russia is going to consolidate every day the legitimate, vetted, mainstream media reports on the Trump-Russia investigation. It's a one-stop shop to go and get that information. Because if I hear another person come up to me and say, Louis Mensch has scooped the mainstream media and John Schindler's out there telling us that, that we're all Russian spies, I'm going to scream.
Wow.
Because we have people literally inside the resistance who are alt-writers, friends of Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yep. Malcolm, we're
a 250,000 resistance.
I hear you. We're running way long. It's investigaterussia.org, right? We've had Rob, and I never thought I would say thank you, David Frum, ever in my life, but I did.
Oh, David Frum's awesome now.
Yeah, exactly. Now. Anyway, and Jackie Schechner, our friend, editor-in-chief. So, investigaterussia.org. Malcolm, so great. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, take care.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, there's just not enough time in the day. I've gone 1,000 minutes overtime.